Speaking of starting things,
I have started the Civilization 7 gameplay showcase.
boo.
What boo? What
Boo.
boo?
This is something that I'd do, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
Therefore, I feel antagonistic.
Good.
You're taking my thing. What, Civilization 7.
Yes.
Gameplay showcase.
That's right.
What is that?
Well, I got up, not that early in the morning, but earlier than I was otherwise planning to
What
wake
time?
up. And-
3 a.m.?
Nah.
2 a.m.?
Nah.
1 a.m.?
Nah.
Wuss.
Yeah.
What time was it?
6:15.
And you didn't even want to get up a little earlier just for the fun of it?
No.
You could have got up at 3:30, started
In
scrolling
my
Reddit.
defense.
Check out everyone who's hyped about the Civilization 7 gameplay showcase.
In my defense, I was scrolling Reddit the night before and I was up till almost 2, so I was pretty tired still. It just happened to be a regular hour of the morning.
All right, I'm back here. I feel
I
like
was
you did a good
bleary-eyed.
job.
Yes, so I thought I had everything was ready. It had got to like 6:28. I think it was at 6:30 because you got to leave a buffer in case you miss it. You wouldn't know. You just sleep through it nowadays.
I don't. I wake up. Sometimes I wake up mid showcase.
That's right. And I thought I had a moment of worry, which was like, oh no, what if it's just a trailer? Like, what if this is just 45 seconds of in-game developer footage and then nothing else? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't.
Oh, thank goodness.
But I enjoyed holding you in suspense for a moment. No, they showed a gameplay trailer, and then they had a lot of extensive talking about it, which was good. Mm-hmm. So for those not familiar, Civilization 7.
Sorry, full title, please.
The Civilization 7 gameplay showcase.
No, Sid
Meier's Civilization 7.
Gameplay showcase.
Gameplay showcase.
Yeah, thank you.
Full name, please. Thank you. Yeah. Is the latest iteration in the Civilization series, which is basically like you start with a little town and you play as a historical leader like Gandhi or Queen Elizabeth, and you play through the development of human civilization, technology and culture and expansion and conflict and peace and all of it. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, you win.
What if you lose?
Then you lose.
Okay.
And it's famous for being very addictive. The catchphrase is one more turn.
Is there an end? You said you play through the whole of Civilization.
Yeah, there's victory conditions. Most of the time you're already winning or losing by enough that it kind of loses momentum by the end of the game, which is interesting. We'll come back to it. But you launch a rocket to the moon, or you murder everyone, or you make everyone your culture, so everyone's listening to your pop music and wearing your blue jeans, or you, what else is there? Get elected like world leader. Changes a bit with every like.
Are you saying that this is colonization, the game?
So this genre has a complicated history. It's called 4X, right? 4X games, which stands for explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. So there's a definitively yucky kind of history to these, and it's interesting to see how every new one engages or doesn't engage with that. There's definitely a to some of these.
Is this the nerds' Call of Duty? In the way of like, nah, we're just going through history and doing wars and, it's a video game, but actually what you were reenacting is a real war that hurt real people based on real cultures that have really been exterminated.
Fair, but I think the nerds' Call of Duty is Hearts of Iron, where you can just play as Germany in the Second World War.
Oh.
Yeah.
This says no. Sid Meier has a line.
Sid Meier has a line.
Great.
So yeah, look, there's
Instead
definitely
you can do the same thing but as a different culture.
That's right.
Great, sick. Cool. Just checking.
Yes. Well, that is part of it. So there's this kind of like everyone starts on an equal footing. So if you want to take like, I don't know, someone who has been historically invaded like maybe Korea or maybe Zimbabwe or maybe Colombia, and you want to lead them to greatness, you can. So that's part of the way they deconstruct it. But then
you want to make Zimbabwe great again. That's what
right.
you're saying. Great.
That's right.
Sick.
There's also been a lot of discourse over the years about like, well, all of the victories are kind of just a military victory. Like even the cultural ones are often about like making sure everyone else comes to your country for tourism by making a bunch of historical artifacts. And it's like, is that just the same form of exploitation except you're using like a rock band instead of a pikemen, you know?
Or maybe you used famous rocks from other cultures and then you put them in your museum.
Literally a thing in Civilization 5.
Oh, okay.
When you go digging up an archaeological site, it comes from a particular era and it's of a particular culture. So
Yeah.
you might have like a parchment scroll from, I don't know, maybe let's just say Greece in the ancient era. Mm-hmm. You're holding the Parthenon marbles, dude. Just give them back. And you can trade them. So...
Okay, here's my question, right?
Okay.
How does Sid Meier's Civilization 7 gameplay showcase bring back the name of Sid Meier from being cancelled for all the fucked things that everyone can do in his game?
By saying he didn't work on it.
He didn't work on it? His name's on the box.
No, yeah, that's right. He hasn't worked on the previous, two.
What's he doing?
He's just sitting. He's happy. He's just a happy little guy.
He's rolling in all of the money of the fictional exploitation
Yeah, that's right.
of countries.
All right, enough about this. Point made.
No, this is my bit now.
Okay, this is your bit now. Well, we can go from there as our jumping off point then, because the designer of Civilization 6 and 7 has been Ed Beach, and he talked about things have changed dramatically in the
Ed Mountains.
Nice.
And Ed Ocean.
Nice.
There's multiple. Is
Brother
this whole
of
game
Frank
beach?
Ocean. Yeah.
Great.
It's all beach. It's the new map type.
We'll storm the beaches of Normandy, and after that,
We'll storm the beaches
more
of...
beaches.
It's all just sandbars. Every time you think, is this the beach? No.
One time we came across a patch of grass, freaked us out. We had to go find another beach.
Sometimes beaches have grass, but they're the shit beaches.
Yeah.
Not the Ed beaches, the shit beaches.
I feel like you can't get anyone who's not on a beach into skinny jeans and rock music, you know? That's a California vibe. You go to the mountains, ask them to listen to rock music, they'll be like, we have plenty of rocks here, we're in the bloody Rocky Mountains.
So they've got two PhD historians on for this, but basically they're trying a new thing with this one, which is instead of... So in the past, leaders have always been heads of state, like the person who led the country, like the Emperor Hirohito or whatever.
Like Dick Cheney.
No. Put a pin in Dick Cheney and then put another pin in him. We're doing voodoo.
I'd love to.
Bastard. And the Civilization 5 was the first time that they spoke in the languages that they spoke as real humans instead of just in English. So that was a good development. And now we're getting, in Civilization 7, leaders who were not heads of state. So a cultural leader, maybe a poet, maybe a resistance fighter. So we're opening up what leader can be. And that's good.
Are we going to have Emily Dickinson invading... I was about to say a real country that is currently being invaded, so I'm not. Australia.
Yeah, you might. And the other
actually,
thing is...
Australia's being invaded by the bloody blah, 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 blah. If you go up to Queensland, it's all blah, 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 blah.
Cane toads?
Yeah, cane toads. Emily Dickinson is leading an army of cane toads through northern Queensland. But I'm not going to spend any more time on it.
I mean, people are entitled to their own sexual proclivities, but I ain't spending any more time on it.
And every week, 2 people mauled to death by Emily Dickinson. The band of cane toads.
The other thing they're doing is they're untethering leaders from countries. So you could not only have Emily Dickinson leading cane toads in the Australian invasion, but you could have Emily Dickinson, the leader of Canada, invading Australia with an army of cane toads.
Sick.
You're also going to, and this is the one big change that they've introduced, you're going to change civilizations twice throughout the course of this game. So it's always been one leader, one civilization all the way through. You're now getting 3 of each. And they're calling these ages. So civilizations always had ages, you had the ancient era and then the classical era or whatever. But now there's
they did Age of Mythology, Age of Empires, Age of Sims.
Good. Very good. Nice.
Thank you.
They're now doing them in a more significant way. There's only 3 of them. There's the Age of Antiquity, the Age of Exploration, and the Modern Age. Okay. So, and every time you change civilization, so you might start out as Cleopatra leading Egypt. And then if you develop a lot of horse resources, you might be eligible to become Mongolia in the second age. And then if you do a particular type of industrial development, maybe you end up being China. Or maybe you end up being the United States.
Right. So does your whole civilization morph to that aesthetic?
Yeah. And also the map will change every time. So when you finish, eras will end in some sort of crisis, which they won't tell us about yet. So some sort of dramatic thing happens, and then the game fades to black, I guess, and then reboots with yes, everything will be recolored. The buildings will look newer, right? Because everything's changed by a few thousand years. And everything will be the aesthetic of your new civilization. And also there'll be a bunch of new resources. So by the time we get to the modern era, there'll be probably coal and uranium and shit on the map that you didn't know about before.
So I assume that there's there's a time jump between the eras?
Seems that way, yeah. Yeah.
It's not like, we all go to sleep one night in our nice stone houses. And oh my God, we're in stone still, but they're painted more.
They said something interesting like, we experimented with quite dramatic changes, but in the end we decided to have more of a soft reboot. Basically, I think that this game, they had a quote which was, the computer should not have more fun than the player, was one of their guiding principles. So I think what I'm reading between the lines here is that an early version of this was a really detailed simulation, and then they went, wait, this isn't fun to play, and players feel like they don't have agency. So then they started making it more about you again, is the vibe I'm getting.
Gotcha. Okay. It feels, from what you're telling me, it sounds like you're playing 3 sets of Civilization games as one, and you have continuous progression through that.
That's the biggest thing they talked about, because they were like, previous Civ games have felt like a marathon, and there's no logical stopping point. It's the curse of the one more turn thing. They're like, and there's no logical stopping points, and the momentum is consistent. There's no peaks or troughs. This was something they tried in Civilization 6. They brought in Dark Ages and Golden Ages to give it more of a roller coaster of history vibe rather than a slow development. So yeah, I think that what they're saying is you should stop playing at these points. You should go take a snooze.
How long does one game of Civilization normally take?
It'll depend on the speed you pick. You can go anywhere from quick to marathon, and that'll change it by hours. But I don't know, 5 is a fine benchmark.
5 hours, okay.
Yeah.
And so this will chunk it to, I don't know, 1 and a bit per section?
In a very rough way,
Okay.
yeah. Our play session is maybe what they're going for, unless you're playing on a crazy slow speed, and then it'll just take forever anyway.
But is there any cross progression between games? Because obviously Civilization is a game where you play. Hopefully you don't pay. Are there microtransactions?
No, there's a bunch of packs and deluxe editions and shit.
Okay, great. That's fine. So you play and then you pick your civilization, you run through, you win, you lose, whatever. And then you start again next time. Is there any cross progress? So it's not a roguelike?
No. It's just a game that you play.
Why not, I don't know, to have some forward momentum, why limit it to, okay, we do a set of 3 and then it resets in a set of 3. Instead, have okay, this time you're set in this, what were the eras you said? I don't know, just say modern era. And you run through that.
You can play from any era.
You can play from any era.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but surely you can't go from the modern era back to the first era.
Not on the same seed.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah.
But they are saying this is 3 conjoined games that form one narrative arc, and you can also play any of them as a standalone kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. There's here's something interesting that apparently this is something Sid Meier used to say a long time ago, and they're still holding on to it. With each new entry, a third of a Civilization game should change, a third should be only iterated on and improved, and a third should stay the same, which I think is really interesting. So in Civilization, going from 5 to 6, the big change was unpacking cities. It went from being every building happens on one tile, one little hex. You can imagine it the Catan board game, I guess, to unspooling that into districts and world wonders were placed on actual tiles within your city boundaries. That was the big change. And then districts and governors and golden ages and loyalty and everything else came out of that. And so this one, I think ages are the big thing from which everything will come. Right. And then they're also they're tinkering with I got a whole list here of a bunch of stuff that they're tinkering with, which is the third that's iterating.
Give me the stuff that you like, and then give me the stuff that you don't like, and for the things in the middle, I don't give a shit.
Okay, stuff that I like. Climate change is going in it again.
Oh, did they rip it out?
No, I think it was in 4, but I didn't play 4. That's before my time. Okay. It wasn't in 5. It was in 6. They made a whole expansion about it. Rise and Fall was all about. Gathering Storm was all about that. And basically, I was reading about this and I'm like, yeah, well, you make a statement whenever you put something in or take something out. And I was like, yeah, good. And also make it worse. Because even like the absolute worst that climate got in Civilization 6 was very manageable. But in real life, what the science is telling us is that if it gets to its real worst, everything is fucked. So I want climate change to be able to fuck everything up.
Have you noticed things have been getting worse?
Things have been getting worse.
Back in my day, things were nice. Now they're worse.
Yeah. Well, we're at 1.5 like now. Like we're there.
I'm feeling it. The other night, I woke up in the middle of the night and I was boiling hot. Now, I could have been sick.
You're probably sick.
However, it was 13 degrees. So I was probably ill.
Probably sick.
But I was very warm in the middle of the night. And my first thought, this is climate change.
Your first thought?
My second thought was, oh my God, I'm going to pass out. I really don't feel well.
Did you have blankets on?
Yeah, I had all my blankets on. 5 layers of blankets on. And my heater.
They're changing diplomacy again. Good.
Okay.
Keep trying to fix it. They haven't quite got there yet. It's always just been like a form of trade, basically. Like you trade an embassy or open borders or for favor or influence. And yes, like ultimately it's a game and you do have to make it a resource somehow, but I don't know. I hope they can find a better way to do this.
Make an RPG?
Yeah.
Like, you ever play that King Queen's Crown game on the phone or the computer?
Yeah, Reigns?
Reigns, that's it.
Yes.
They had Game of Thrones Reigns.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope they keep tinkering on with that one until they fix it. This is things that I like still?
Yeah, sure.
Cities are changing again. You're no longer going to... look, we're kind of finding a hybrid between 5 and 6, where some things are unpacked onto the map and some things happen in the middle. And I don't know, I feel like recently things have gotten more dynamic. Like you can now build walls around different parts of your city. And you can now, there's like navigable rivers, so you can sail a boat through the districts in your city. They're just becoming more alive and real. They used to be like one tile and everything happened there, which was fine, but this is more alive and better.
Gotcha.
And the last thing that I really love is the map. Civilization 5 was like really dour, really like as close to photorealistic as they could, and I quite liked it. Civilization 6 was like really stylized.
Yeah, they went real
And it
stylized.
was certainly a choice, and I
liked
respected it, but I didn't like to sit there looking at it as much. And in Civilization 7, they're just doing both. It's bright, and it's poppy, and it's nice, but it also looks like a real landscape that you would look at, and obviously the tech gets better every 5 years or whatever, so like, that thing looks a schmick.
Nice.
It looks like you can see where each tile is really clearly, but also the landscape blends flawlessly between the two. There's more height now. There's more. They've gone with cliffs and mountains and things. It's just good. Just looks gorgeous.
Nice.
It's important. These things are important, you know. A couple of things that I don't like. They're getting rid of builders and workers. So now the city does everything, and I don't get to watch my little men go around with brooms.
See, this is what I was saying. Sid Meier hates the working class, hates the blue collars.
I used to, sometimes when I would have to like sweep out the like garage or whatever, I would imagine that I was in Civilization 5, being a little sweeper guy.
That's
and
ridiculous.
I was totally,
That's so funny.
Made the job vanish into joy. It was like play.
And now you can't do that.
And now I won't be able to do that,
No.
which is sad.
Or like no one in the future. There won't be kids growing up who are imagining themselves sweeping. They're probably, you know what they're probably going to do? They're probably, when they're sweeping their garage, they're probably going to imagine that they're that kid in Star Wars The Last Jedi who might or might not be force sensitive and in whatever that guy's next movie is.
Oh, who knows?
Who knows? Is that
There's
still
no more
happening?
Star Wars movies happening. They're all fake. There's nothing. They're all cancelled.
Well, that's because you're anti-Star
David
Wars.
Benioff and D.B. Weiss, not happening. Patty Jenkins, not happening. Taika Waititi, I'd be astonished if they let him keep that. Ryan Johnson, not happening.
You seem very negative.
Well, I'm
for
not
an
a Star Wars
anti-Star
fan.
Wars person. I think all of these are happening and all going to be great.
Oh, of course you do.
And I'm very excited for The
course you do.
Mandalorian and Grogu.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Directed
super pumped.
by?
Dave Filoni?
Well done.
Absolutely.
Actually,
I know
think
the
it's
names.
Jon Favreau. It's one or the other.
It's both of them.
It's both of them. They
They're
hang
both-
out all the time and do all their things together now.
They're gluing their backs together.
That's
so
right.
they always have someone looking, it's always have someone observing what's going on. So nothing can go wrong.
They would be real safe at a Quidditch match. Their
great.
backs glued together. And then I do. There's a lot of things that are just I'm ambivalent on, where I'm like, this could be good or it could be bad. Like resources are being taken out of the cities, and so like if I develop some horses in Naples, I can send those horses to Rome, which like I'm in two minds about. Because on one hand, that's kind of how trade worked, and that's good and gives you more choices about like, well, do I want the benefit of the horses over there or over here? But also makes it feel, I'm worried that each city might lose a bit of its character because it's like, well, those horses could be anywhere. As soon as I've farmed them, they're the same. They're equivalent. Rather than being like, those are my Naples horses.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, okay.
Vibes like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
At what point does civilization become impenetrable for someone new?
When 6 came out. Look, you can always just wind the difficulty right down and learn to play that way. What I wish Civilization... Remember that video we watched a long time about tutorials?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how they approach depth on this one. I was watching a GDC talk recently about like complexity and depth and how we often think of them coming at the cost of each other. Like on one hand, you've got like snakes and ladders, and on the other hand, you've got like chess. Mm-hmm. And it's like you either need a lot of skill to reach the depth or you don't need a lot of skill and it's really accessible. But then they were mentioning things like Go or checkers that are like really accessible but also have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
So I hope more games can keep trying to be like that. And the problem with something like this where it's trying to be a simulation is that every system connects. So it's really hard to teach the player one system at a time because they all link. But I wonder if even getting a new player to play through just the Age of Antiquity is a good way of going about it and then being like, now you can play on from this save or you can start a new game fresh, for example. We'll see.
Yeah, if Age of Antiquity is a simplified version, you are restricted because it's like, well, we don't have uranium and coal or whatever. That might be a way to do it. But also, I remember, because I played a bit of Civ 5 with you years ago. Yep. And that was very much me sitting there and you over my shoulder and me saying, now which one do I click? Now which one do I click?
Yeah.
I want to send this here. Can I do? No, I can't. Okay. Then what do I click instead? I want to do this. Why am I'm clicking this, but it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's not a great
It's not a good
feeling. No. And I'm like, I wonder if playing the game with a controller, because these also come out on the consoles.
They do. This is the first one releasing
day and date on console.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I wonder how much better that is because there's a certain muscle memory to controllers and also because it is a simplified thing. It's like, if I want to, all of my stuff in regards to moving assets or whatever is tied to X. So I click X and then I have those options. If that's the way that it's sort of laid out or if it's, whereas on computer it's like, well, here, you click, you literally have a whole keyboard, not just A, S, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, apostrophe, return. Sorry, I just said my password out loud. That was an accident. I don't know what I'd
you lose the
do.
you can't on a controller you can't hover over something for like a tooltip, but then it does often just feel more real or like you're in the world of the thing on screen.
Well, do they do the thing that a lot of games do when they're being adapted from PC to a console, a certain type of game? Do they have a cursor?
I'm not sure. I haven't played on console.
I would hate that so much. I hate it every time there's a cursor. And you can really tell on certain games, like your favorite game, Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, famous. Oh.
That has a cursor for all the menus. And it's like, obviously...
Watching people slide that around is the most agonizing thing.
It's so gross. It's like, obviously you made this...
So that you could port
on
it to
PC and then ported it to everything else and you just didn't care to put the attention to detail to just map it to the directional buttons. Stupid.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I haven't played a Civ game on console.
I'm pretty sure Civ 6 is really cheap on the PlayStation right now.
Yeah, I should get it.
If
I just can't connect
free.
the PlayStation to the internet right now.
Why not?
Don't know. It's having trouble. I think we've got to plug it back in or something.
Oh, no, that's because I plugged it in. I plugged it into the internet, then I ripped the internet cable out of it.
Ripped the internet out. I want to play Final Fantasy VII.
And then I said, figure out yourself how to connect.
Yeah, it didn't figure itself out.
All right, we'll figure it out.
That's fine. I want to finish with this quote that if we're talking about whether I think this will be good or not, it's too soon to tell, but also all of the previous ones have been good and they've gotten better as they continue to get worked on. So will I get this when it comes out in February? Probably not. But will I play it? Yeah, I want to. Here's what gives me hope. Here's a quote from the lead designer, Ed Beach.
Beachy
boy. His job is Beach, by the way.
Obviously.
We were very, very self-critical in looking at Civ 6, no matter how well Civ 6 sold or what people in the community thought. I was shocked at how self-critical the design team was about ripping things apart that they didn't really like. This is good because Civ 6 was very successful, very popular, and almost everyone agreed that it just was a really good game. So the important thing then, much like the bear, is like, how do you not rest on your laurels and just reskin that? So that gives me hope that they really went, let's sit down and talk about everything that felt about that game.
I suppose so, but my concern when hearing that quote is that they might be overly critical. You know how you're often overly critical
Of your own work?
Like, I'm sure whoever directed The Godfather was like, man, I could have made this a bit better.
And they made The Godfather Part 2.
And then said, oh, I should rip this apart and I could probably make this a bit better.
And then made The Godfather Part 3,
which was worse.
Almost everyone agrees is not better.
And that works with what the metaphor that I'm trying to say here, which is like, maybe don't pull everything apart.
Yeah, and I do think like the Civilization games have usually had like the assistant lead designer or whatever their role is normally steps into the lead designer role in the next one. So no one is solely responsible for making 2 in a row. Okay. But this time they have like, I think the same lead designer, I think the same lead producer, and a lot of the same design team. So I do wonder what effect that's going to have. Initially I thought, oh, it's going to be too similar. But now having seen a bit of the game and heard a bit about it, I'm like, I do wonder if it would be almost like too reactionary. Be interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're going to continue watching these gameplay?
Oh, I'm going to consume all the content about this. People went, they did a 3-hour demo, obviously, and invited all the streamers and whatever. So now all those people are unembargoed and allowed to talk about it. So we're getting all their thoughts, which is great.
Right. Very good. Who would you recommend this to?
Oh, did you like 5? Play this. Did you like 6? Play this. Did you like 4? Because stacking units is back sometimes. Apostrophe. You know who you are, Civ 4 fans. Look, if you haven't understood a single word I've said so far, it's probably not for you. Not because you wouldn't enjoy it. If you see a leader that you really like and you're like, I want to role play as them through history, then you could play this. But it's the 7th game in a series of historical nerd games on a hex grid. You know who it's for, But everyone's welcome.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Civilization, similar to Age of Empires, those were like the first kind of big computer
What happened to
games.
Age of Empires?
They still do them.
They're
doing a new Age of Mythology.
Oh,
I'm really
yeah.
pumped for that. That's the one that I used to play a lot. Because my friend in primary school had Age of Mythology, and that was great.
Is that where it all began?
That one, that's where you can bring down like Zeus and do a big lightning or whatever.
Sick.
It's very cool. So I'm kind of excited for that one. Yeah, we'll see if I even play it. But they are very computer games. You're going to need to fix your computer by the time this comes out.
I'm going to need a new computer. I doubt this one will run it.
Surely it will. It's not.
Nah, we're however 6 years on from the last game or whatever.
I guess so.
I don't know. The thing about designers nowadays is that, back in the day they used to be like, okay, what's the tech we have, and we're going to make our game as stripped back as we can so that it can run. And now they're like, who's got the highest specification? I'm going to make a game for just you, and everyone else can deal with it.
Yeah. That's the beauty of console. You always have the highest spec. Yeah.
That's the beauty of your console. Highest spec, didn't have to buy a console.
Nah.